Shalom, Yasharal, this your brother Yah again, coming to you from HOIGA, or you want to say HOI Atlanta. You know, brother's been occupied, but I still study. I got more books and things going on. And the last time we left off, and we're at Genesis 1 and 6. So now we're at Genesis 1 and 7. And I remember previously talking about, the mainstream idea is that the firmament is actually a I guess a physical tangible barrier like a glass dome. And when it talks about heaven, it's talking about, I guess, space. And when you go into like the Hebrew, and I believe Genesis 1, 7, we're going to go through 7 through 9, right? When you go into it, when you go into a word Shemayim, that general, the general idea of Shemayim in Genesis with that word is sky, not, space. It's really just sky. So, I mean, at the end of the day, if you believe it's space and it's talking about the firmament is at space and it's blocking it, that can be very correct as well. But that word, for some reason they're saying it's going to be sky, right? So let's get right into it. It's been a while. I hope y'all been constantly studying those videos, constantly going over those videos as I fine tune and definitely perfect my craft so that we all can definitely understand Hebrew pronunciation, know how to write it, and definitely get deep into the Torah and understanding what it really means. Because sometimes when you read the English translations, it's similar. Sometimes it's dead set on point, but when you know the Hebrew, it gives you a better understanding. And Most High willing that we deal with the Hebrew, will eventually go into the Greek, and then hell, if we want to go into Latin and Spanish, then we'll do it. But right now we're dealing with this Hebrew, right? So let's go straight into it. Genesis 1 and 7. Right? Genesis 1 and 7. So, a lot of writing. Now, so Genesis 1 and 7, and God made the firmament and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which I messed that up. So which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament, and it was so. All right, it was so. So I want to talk a little bit about, evolution and stuff. Why I can see why they're talking about the waters at this time, because they're definitely not talking about land. It says that, I believe that's Genesis 1:5 and 1:6, and it talks about how the fish and the birds, right? And the evolution between them, that in a sense, the sky is the waters for the birds, and the sea and the oceans is the waters for the fish. That's one idea of why they mean sky, because you don't really see land animals going on until, these couple of scriptures after this. So before, it was like as the days of Noah when the Lord flooded it. When Noah was in an ark and all he could see is waters all around and the top of the mountaintops. This is what Genesis 1:6 is looking like. There's no land. And if there's any land, it's scarce. I'm going to give you a good idea. Oh, man. Damn, I'm trying to remember what that movie is. Freak. Man, it'll hit me. But basically, it's a movie. I can't remember this actor. Maybe I can try to find it. Yep, I found it. Waterworld. I knew it was on my mind. I had to check. Waterworld, what is the actor? What's the actor? All right, basically Waterworld from Kevin Costner, right? Where at the end of Waterworld, spoiler alert, this is a spoiler alert if you don't watch the movie. At the end of Waterworld, they find a wet place, or a little bit of dry land, but it's Mount Everest, right? The largest mountain on the earth, right? Mount Everest. So all this water is around, and it's only this small little piece of land, and it just looks like a big island. But just put this perspective, Mount Everest is the hugest mountain on the earth, and in Waterworld it looked like just small little island, right? So that's what Genesis 1:5 looks like. That's what Genesis 1:5 looks like before the Most High actually clears up and divides the water, where it talks about, we'll get into it when it gets into 8 and 9. But basically that's what it was like. It was nothing but fish and birds. There was no place for land animals to develop or be about at that time, right? It's and I hate bringing this up. There's people talking about how man actually came from water, and they were mermaids, and they were called Homo That's what some African cultures believe, right? That man came from water, right? But we already know that the Most High say he made Adam and the people before from the dust of the ground. They came during, around Genesis 8 and 9. Before, they became land creatures. But before that, before the Most High, made that area when we're going to go into, I don't want to get deep into it, that's what is happening. So right now, in those scriptures, think water world without the people. It's just fish and birds, right? It's just straight water. And if there is any type of land masses, it's limited amounts. Right, so we have, and God made the firmament and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament, and it was so. So let's go into the Paleo Hebrew, what that means. Man, it's so much with this Paleo Hebrew. Good Lord. I gotta get a bigger board. But we're gonna make it work. We're gonna make it work, right? So I'm gonna try to. This phone. Gonna make it work for you, Israel. shouldn't look like that, but we're gonna work with it. I'm gonna show y'all my notes on how it should look. But yeah, I can see that good. All right, so and made, right? Remember this made and made God's off, right? A Hebrew word no one knows. Off. And made God's firmament, the firmament, and Yabadol, and Yabadol made all right, so yes, I gotta change that on my notes. All right, that threw me off. Going by the notes. Sorry. So I know y'all cannot see this if I write it small. So basically we already know what all this is. And we're gonna go from both sides here. I'm gonna circle off. We do not know, no one knows what this means. There's no comprehension of what that word means, right? So Wa is and Allahayim is God. So I'm gonna circle it at, so I say Wa, S and Yaish made and made Allahayim God's Harakwayai firmament Harakwayai and which is Wa Rakwayai Wa and Yabadol divided Yabayan Bayan is Bayan. Look at my notes because now I want to make sure I'm right. Bayan means between. Between. Just know that Bayan means between. And what Mathakaf. So, alright. Put this Bayan. Remember, this means between. And between, Ha Mayum, between, because it's not there. But Ha Mayum, the waters. Ashar. Alright, now in this sense, Ashar means this. Word. Ashar means word. Mathakaf means under. Ashar Mathakaf, we're under. Then we already have the firmament coming back again. La Rakwayai. Rakwayai. Wabayan, which means from the waters, meaning between, right? That's why it says from. So that's what's taking the place from the waters. Bayan, Wabayan, Mayan, Ashar, from the waters, which were, right here, male, bow, above, La Raquayai, firmament, right? Right now, these words, because we already know, and we should already have the gist of it now. But in the English language, some of these things, they added to they add words to make the sentence sound, proper, like proper English. Because if it wasn't like the KJV right here in the Genesis is KJV, it would be like this. It would be, and made God's firmament and divided between the water were under firmament, and between the water were above the firmament. So that's what it means in the Hebrew. But in the English, it means, and God made the firmament and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament, and it was so. So it's almost like we already know what I was talking about. It sounds like cake. It's not caveman language. It's easier once you really tune your mind to it. It's more direct and easier, and it definitely uses less. One thing I like about the paleo is that I don't have to write all these freaking words. I don't have to write all these freaking English words right here, but it's really easy to understand, right? So just gonna run it back. And is why God is Elohim. Made is Yaish. Firmament is Harakwayai. And is why divided Yabadal. Bayan is between, but it's not there. Bayan between Hamayam, the waters. Ashar is were. Under is Mafakaf. And then we have firmament again going into La Rakwa Yai. And we have and between, which means from, but it's not there. And we have a Hamayam, which is the waters. And we have Ashar again, which is were. And we have La Rakwayai, the firmament. Right, so that's Genesis 1 and 7. Sit here. See if 8 is more nicer to me. All right. Here we go. now here we go. We got Genesis 1 and 8. And God called the firmament heaven, and there was evening and morning the second day. Right? I actually like the Hebrew translation instead of the English translation. But, you know, at the end of the day, it still means the same thing. I'm going to show you here. All right, so we have Genesis 1 and 8 right over here with Wa Yakara Alahayim La Rakwayai Shemayim Wa Yahe Irab Wa Haya Bakar Ya Wam Shanya or Shanae. Right? Shanae. Right? So basically, this is what it's saying. This is what it's saying. And God Yakara Wa Alahayim Yakara, and God called La Rakwai Ya La Rakwayai the firmament Shemayim heaven, and we already know Wa Yahe was Irab evening, Wa Haya Wa Haya, and that goes into was. That's, you know, Haya means be. So I'll go over what it means in the paleo. Morning, right here. Bakar, morning. Yawam, day. Shanae, second. Alright. So these are the words that are directly from the paleo. And the paleo, this is what the paleo is saying. The paleo is saying, and called God's firmament heaven, and was evening, and was morning, day 2. Because Shanae means 2. Right? So day 2. That's what the, paleo is saying. That's why when you understand that, the paleo, it uses less words. You're starting to see that. Like, the ones that I circled is the ones that were used. Everything else was, it was planted in to make it a more cohesive and coherent sentence in English. So that's Genesis 1 and 8. Genesis 1 and 8 was nicer to me than 7. 7 was killing me. It was destroying my arm. But what I wanted to say with Genesis 1 and 8, there you go with heaven. Heaven means sky in there, right? So when it says this, and called God's firmament heaven, instead of saying heaven, you would say sky. And was evening, and was morning, and day 2. Right? So when you go into the modern Hebrew recognizes Shemayim as sky. But we already know in the paleo it says heaven. So it, like I was saying earlier, I didn't want to expound on it because it take too long. Remember, water world. Remember that it was nothing. They were all struggling to find the land. There was nothing but birds and fish and the humans that were on boats, just like Noah. But that's how it was without humans, right? So that was 8. We're gonna finish up with 9. All right, here we go. So this is Genesis 1 and 9. And said God, let the waters under the heaven be gathered together under one place, and let dry land appear. And it was so. Right? So that's where it goes into the, consolidation of all the waters that's over the earth. because the earth was covered in water before Genesis 1 and 9. Right? And that's why I'm saying, think the movie Waterworld. You know, it's like Priest of Bach. While I like Priest of Bach, some of his videos, especially the ones that he goes over with movies, because Amalek's not stupid. Amalek is all over the movie industry, and for him to not drop little hints down here and there, would be, I guess, Amalek kind of like the gloat a little bit that he knows knowledge. Never think that Esau or our enemy doesn't know what the Torah is talking about. They studied this thing. They have to know the truth in order to hide it. I'll put it like that. But here we go. Let's get that in the paleo. Wow. Here we go. That's Genesis 1 and 9 in the paleo. And we have and said wa and said Amar said Amar Allahayim God let Alright, so we're not going to go into let. We're going to go straight to gather, which is Yakawaw. Yakwawaw. Yakwawaw. Gather the waters. Waters. So we have in Amar said Allahayim Yakwawaw gathered Ha the Mayumyum waters, right? And we have all, which is together or onto. And we have Maqwa Wam. place. Makwa wom. Place. Makwa wom. Place. Off. Akkad. One. Boom. And. Damn. And. Thara'ah. Thara'ah. And Thara'ah is appear. And Thara'ah appear ha the Yarashah. Yarashah. Land. We have and, which is wa, which is and we said that we got high Yahe, so no, Yahe is was. Alright, Yahe is was, Khan is so. So Genesis 1:9 would be, and said gods, gather the waters into place one, and appear the land, and was so. Right? So these are the words that is used. And said gods. Yakwawal, gather, and said gods, gather the waters into place one, and Thara'ah appear the land, and be so. So that's what the paleo is saying. It's saying, and said gods, gather the waters into place one, and appear the land, and be, or was, and was so, and be so. So you see that? That's Genesis 1:9 right there. You know, I'm a, you know, it's why I write, you know, my notes to help. My notes kind of look like, I don't know if y'all can see that. My notes kind of look like that's 1:7. That's 1:8. It should be right here, 1:9. And it looks so, you know, it looks so simple. And it's really, it is simple. It's easy, but then when you gotta break it down and stuff, it ends up being like 44 minutes. All right. But once again, this is your brother Yinya, you know, Salakia. Your brother's been busy. Your brother's been putting in work for the Most High and Yahushua to the best of his ability. But I'm going to still continue to study and understand these scriptures more in the paleo. I'm gonna be honest, a lot of the paleo is almost exactly like the English translation. There's some scriptures that, depending on what translation you use, is either completely way off or just slightly wrong. So with that, this your brother Yinya, coming from HOYATL or HOY Georgia, and I bid you you know, fair shalom. With that, you know, catch me on the chariot and a Shar Shabbat.